Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Nacho Tuesday. And here I have Jan here with Faceup. And without further ado, we'd love if you could introduce yourself and tell us more about your company.
Yeah, hi Andy, hi everyone. So I'm Jan, I'm founder and CEO of Faceup. And Faceup is a platform helping companies to create a true speak-up culture. It means that our customers are using us as a platform where their employees can report or speak up about any concerns. They are using us for surveys and taking like any sort of feedback from the employees. Currently, we are used by 1,600 companies and 2,000 schools in 65 countries all around the world.
Very cool. And tell us more about how it works. So I would assume there's some sort of anonymity to it. How could somebody go on Faceup today and speak up, so to speak?
Yeah. The anonymity is crucial. So the platform basically have two interfaces. One interface is typically for HR manager, and then there is an interface for employees who has any like sort of troubles, concerns, or issues they wanna solve, and they can use Faceup to write about it anonymously, send their feedback or their concern to the HR manager, and HR manager can try to solve it and communicate with the sender. It's really important that, as you mentioned, it's anonymous, so employees are not scared about anything. They know that they can be truly honest and tell everything how they feel it. And also, it's not just about like sending feedback once time, which is with which HR can do basically nothing, but it's about follow-up communication where HR manager can ask follow-up questions and really solve the problem. And also important is that the platform is ready for 120 use cases. So when companies are implementing our solution, they can implement it for whistleblowing, for employee feedback. They can use it for surveys, for ESG, well-being, psychological safety, and tons of other topics where anonymity or confidentiality is really important.
What about for whistleblowing to like a third party, say maybe a government agency or maybe the media, for instance?
Yeah, they are also using us. We have like many government organizations, but for us, it's important that our clients are using us like internally. So we are like, basically we are prevention of external whistleblowing, because when there is an employee in a company, they see some problem, they want to do something with that because they didn't feel that it's right, and they feel that they have to do something. They need to decide if and they are deciding between solving it internally with HR or compliance manager, or solving it externally. It means reporting to authorities, police, media, and other stuff. And when the company has Faceup, they know that they can be sure that company wanna solve this problem because they implemented tool for it. And also they know that their communication will be anonymous, so they don't have to be scared. So in most cases, they decide to use the internal way because it's much more easy. It's much more easy for them and comfortable.
Yeah, it sounds like a win-win for companies and for the employees. So the employees get a voice, the companies get a chance to respond to it rather than let the problem fester and then, end up being on the nightly news,
It's also like when for authorities, because we are talking with them about it, and like every authority which I talk about it with was like sure that for them it's much better if the problems are solved internally than solving it externally.
So what got you to want to start this company? Do you have any like personal experience with it?
Yeah, Faceup firstly didn't start as a company, but we started as a nonprofit. Because with my co-founders, we are doing business from the age of 13. And when we were kids, we launched few different products. We sold few of them. And after these like small like exits, we decided that we should focus on something what won't be just about business, but will be more about helping others. And we decided to focus on problem of bullying in schools, because when we were kids, we were with different kids with different hobbies, and in many times we were victims of bullying from our classmates. And we decided after like 10 years from these experiences to create an app where students can anonymously and easily report bullying in schools, and teachers can prevent it and fight with it. So this was basically the first version of Faceup. It was super easy, like anonymous reporting form, and then administration for teachers. And we launched it as a non-profit. It was free for schools, and it was super successful because in like first week we implemented Faceup in 100 schools, and then there was hundreds and hundreds of others. And in 3 years, like around 50% of all schools in Czech Republic, where we are originally from, started using our solution to prevent bullying, sexual harassment, discriminations, and other problems in schools. And while we were focusing on this like educational environment, there started to be pretty lots of companies and employees asking us if we can create something similar for them. Because schools are not the only environment where can be problems which are not easily to talk about face to face. So after there was there were all these companies and employees asking us if they can start using Faceup for themselves, we decided to create like Faceup 2, or a second version, which was a commercial product, and started scaling this in commercial sphere.
Isn't that great? You have a business that actually is a net positive for society, and you're able to make money on it too.
I think that social impact is an important part of our DNA.
Absolutely. And speak up culture is really kind of a rising phenomena. Can you explain what speak up culture is and why it's so important for employee rights?
Yeah, like speak up culture is a culture where anyone is afraid to speak up. And it's not only about wrongdoing. It's about questions, about ideas, and about just solving problem, and don't be afraid to ask, which is super important because companies have lots of challenges and lots of problems which can destroy them, and in most cases there are employees who know about it before, but in companies without speak up culture, these employees can think that management don't want to hear from them. And speak up culture is a culture where everyone really understands that management is listening, and management want to hear from their employees about basically anything. And it really doesn't matter if it's some sort of wrongdoing, misconduct, or on the other side, just some idea or question.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Even if it's something benign like having a great idea, a lot of people, especially in large organizations, just want to, they don't want to stick their neck out and, risk their job, by being the one ruffling some feathers or maybe shaking everything up. So a lot of times they feel like, hey, I'm just going to show up to work and do my job, and feel like I, don't have a voice, I guess.
Yeah, and that's the problem of whistleblowing, for example, because there is mainly in the US, US is our main market. There are many companies which already have some sort of whistleblowing solution, but employees feel that it's just for like really serious problems, and they won't share some idea through it about improvements. For example, they will just report, for example, sexual harassment through whistleblowing solutions. But we are building Faceup for all of these use cases, so companies can build on our solution like many different channels for different types of feedbacks.
Yep. So you guys are fully built for like an anonymous feedback mechanism. Is there any other way that employees can really speak up, or do you suggest that maybe like a one-on-one with one of their managers or anything like that?
Yeah, I think that the main important thing for building speak up culture isn't just having mechanisms which employees can use to report any like bad stuff, but the most important thing is asking. Because like only 27% of people don't speak up because they are afraid. most of them don't speak up because they feel that nobody cares about their opinion. So this is the most important part. Like any sort of whistleblowing or anonymous feedback service and this stuff can help only with 27% of problems. And it's the communication from the management to the employees about how feedback is important is the crucial part.
Yep. Yeah. So I guess what other tips would you offer for leaders to kind of instill this culture within their teams, to encourage their employees to actually feel comfortable speaking up?
Yeah. It's, for example, it's important after all hands meetings to have some for example, some platforms where employees can share any questions, so management can live during the all hands meeting answer everything. The one-to-ones which you mentioned are also super important. And for example, talking about like surveys, it's important to do it regularly, because there's many companies which are doing a survey like once a year, but the information which employees are filling into these surveys once a year are just information from the moment of sending the surveys. It means that when your employee, for example, faced discrimination 3 months ago, he or she won't write it in the feedback today. So it's really important to use, for example, pulse surveys where you are like every 13 days just sending simple question if everything is okay, and if not, just to remind them that they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, and maybe make it part of the team culture as well too, right? So like submit your monthly feedback or ideas, and make it part of their, I mean, not a part of their job per se, but just something that they should do on a regular cadence, and not necessarily like from a negative standpoint, like, hey, report issues, but share, your latest ideas and how we can improve our team or product or what have you, and just get them used to submitting those ideas on a monthly basis. And then, oh, by the way, you could also use this if there's an actual like negative issue as well that needs to be addressed. But yeah, maybe instilling that culturally within the team too.
Yeah, and also the second real important part is to like appreciate, like publicly appreciate, or to all employees, for example, in Slack or like all hands channels, to appreciate the feedback which you got from somebody. And like when you are doing some changes or innovations, don't say that it's just your idea, but show that really there were like other employees who helped you with that, thanks to and you came with these changes or these ideas thanks to their feedback and their inputs. So like everyone sees that when somebody give you their feedback, you really evaluate it, and probably you can work from these with these inputs.
Yeah, that's a good point. Then you could, maybe publicly call it out, like obviously still anonymous, but hey, somebody had a great idea last month on our team, and we implemented that feature and saw a 10% lift, whatnot. Maybe if they see that kind of a shout out, they're probably they'll probably say, hey, maybe I'm just actually going to start to actually speak up now. I want to get credit for that great idea that they implemented.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. So I guess what other tips can you offer leaders for avoiding situations where their employees might feel the need to whistleblow? Say they feel like they've been bottling up an issue for a long time, and they really want to just get out there and maybe go externally. Like, how can a leader avoid a situation like that?
Look, I think that first important thing is to have a solution such as Faceup, of course, which will be like more easy and more comfortable way to whistleblow than whistleblow externally. This is super important because anyone can whistleblow to media authorities. And that's not easy. It's hard, but it's possible. But typically, it's not easy. Like authorities are not having like super user-friendly whistleblowing channels. So if the company build like their speak up solution really like user-friendly, comfortable, and there are no barriers for speaking up, then employees, if there is this problem, will probably firstly try to solve it internally, and only if your reaction will be bad and they won't be like happy with it, then they can use the external whistleblowing solutions. And also, I think that the really important prevention is to react on the problems when they are at the beginning, because most of the managers feel that when there is some like small problems or small issues, they don't have to care about it. But if you don't care when it is small, then employees won't tell you when it is big. So it's really important to react at the beginning.
Yeah, that's a great point. So I guess what tips would you offer for other founders out there looking to build their software? Like any good lessons that you've learned along the way?
I think that really important is not to have the motivation to build the software, but have the motivation to solve a problem. I'm meeting lots of because I started business pretty young, so I'm meeting lots of young founders who are telling me that they want to build successful business, but I have to tell them that that's not right mindset. Much better mindset is the motivation to solve some problem which is really triggering you, and you need to solve that problem. So this is the thing. If there are some entrepreneurs and someone who wanna build something, they need to think about problem, not about the solution. So this is super important. And also from our journey, I understand that it's super important having business model, which sounds it sounds like totally basic stuff. But when we started, we were really focused on product, which was solving the problem, which is correct. But we didn't realize how to make money on it. And it was a huge trouble because we were going to bankruptcy, and we changed that, and currently like everything is okay. We are growing pretty well. Our customers are paying us. We have investors, so everything is fine. But a few years ago, it was really hard because just our business model wasn't working, and we were trying to find some working business model for 3 years, and these 3 years were pretty hell.
Yep. And this is when you were a nonprofit, right? You guys were doing a lot of great work for society, but you found it tough to kind of monetize for that.
Yeah, it was a really huge problem. I think that the biggest problem was the type of customers, because we were selling to schools in Czech Republic. I know that we have currently many paying customers, paying schools in US, but in Czech Republic, most of schools are feeling that they shouldn't be the one paying for something, that the government should pay for them, because we have a free education. So everyone is giving to schools everything for free. So this was, I think, the biggest problem, focused on potential customers without money. Then the solution was like make a similar or create similar product for customers with money, which were enterprises. And thanks to these like enterprise customers, we can still give the product to schools for free.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Your target market, I mean, it could be different from country to country. So, culturally speaking, like in the Czech Republic, they're not used to paying for stuff because it's taken care of by the government. So, they're not willing to pay for it. But you go over to the US market and they're used to paying for those kind of services. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, they're both schools, but just different views on how to approach, these types of services, and, whether or not they value paying for it or not.
Yeah. We have a totally different problem when we started to sell the solution to US, because after these experiences from Czech Republic, we thought that we have to be free for like any schools all around the world. So we started approaching US schools with a free solution, but then they didn't trust us because they feel that it has to be dangerous if it is free.
Good point.
So yeah, total 100% difference.
Yeah, it's interesting. Perspective is everything, right? So Yeah, never assume that you have everything figured out, because there could be like one small cultural difference like that makes all the difference. Yeah, in the US, like there's a saying like despise the free lunch. So sometimes you might, if something's free, you're like, okay, what do they want? My data or something. So interesting change in perspective there. So how do you guys identify like your early revenue? You have these customers, from enterprise companies like begging you for the solution basically, or did it just kind of come up casually in a few conversations? Like when did you know that like that was a good route to go after to achieve your first early revenue?
I'm not sure if I understand the question.
Yep. So how did you guys establish your like your first revenue from this product? Yeah. So you had some corporate companies that started asking about the solution, right?
Yeah, I think the most important moment was when we were trying to implement Faceup to one schools in South Africa, in Johannesburg. And they told us that they didn't want us. They didn't want to use Faceup for their kids or their students, but they told us that they want to use it for their employees. And it was the most important moment when we seen, okay, for some people, the corporate potential or employee potential is bigger than the student potential. So with this customer who told us, look, we will start to pay you, but you just need to rebuild the product for employees. It was the biggest motivation. And after that, like in first year, we got, I don't know, 5 customers or something like that. It was all about cold calling, networking, and then after like first, I don't know, 5 or 10 customers, which as I said, we find out just thanks to cold calling and these like boring stuff, old school stuff. We fundraised some money from our investors and started scaling, mainly thanks to online marketing.
Yeah, do you find sometimes it's better to do things that don't scale, like having these conversations with prospective customers to really help, define the product, especially when it's in its early stages?
Yeah, I feel so.
Yeah, a lot of times people just build something, and like you said earlier, a lot of people just throw a tech at, they just like to build the technology, but sometimes they get away from the problem. And the best way to solve the problem is to talk to your customers, actually, which surprisingly a lot of people don't do as well as they think they do.
Yeah, it was really important, and for in our case, like customers needed to sell us the idea of building a good product, because the problem is that me and my co-founders, we have been never working for anyone else. We were just entrepreneurs from our childhood, so we didn't have the like any experiences from workplaces, and we thought that there can't be problems in workplaces because people in workplaces are adults. They are not bullying each other. So firstly, we weren't just absolutely thinking about creating this product for companies. And when we met like first 3 or 4 people who told us to do that, we just didn't believe them. But when there were 10 people, 20 people, and all asking if they can start using our solution for employees, then we decided to do that.
Yeah, a lot of times your customers will kind of help tell you what they're looking for. The customer is your boss, really, in a lot of ways. Pretty much they are your boss, actually. But a lot of times, like, people ignore this repeat feedback that maybe customers give, or the interest that a particular customer base will show in your product. A lot of times people want to ignore it because they have like a view or vision for what they think their product should be and who they think it should serve. But sometimes like these opportunities pop up, and if you're listening for them, like a lot of these types of customers begging for the solution, it might be time to listen, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. So
by the way, you can also use for it Faceup. because we have many customers which are using us as a tool for their customers, so their customers can write to them like any sort of feedback or ideas or whatever. Typically in accommodations, for example, in hotels, like hotels are using us, and the people who are accommodated there are having QR codes on the apartments, and they can share through Faceup feedback and ideas with the owner of the accommodation.
Very cool. How many customers do you guys have today then?
Today we have 1,600 paying customers.
Oh, you guys have really grown quickly. You guys definitely tapped into a big need, and I see a bright future for you guys. I guess what are some potential things that you want prospective customers to know about Faceup, and why should they pick it up today?
I think that the important thing is that we are really solving their problems, or helping them to solve them, because there is many problems in the companies which thanks to which they have a fluctuation. They don't have as much revenue as they want. They have a lower profit than they want, and mostly managers are just trying to think about what can be the reason, but their employees, which are on the ground, typically know it. But they don't share it with the management, and management without right information can't do a right decision. So what we are trying to show to our customers is that Faceup is not anymore just whistleblowing solution, but we are really trying them to solve this like a communication problem where informations are going from up to down, but not from the down to up.
Yep. That's a huge problem. I got to agree with you there. I think, especially as the company gets bigger and bigger, there tends to be a lot more red tape, bureaucracy. A lot of these middle managers might not, have, especially at the top of the company, the CEOs don't see what their employees see on the ground, especially if you have like physical locations too, right? Like I know a lot of retail stores like Starbucks, their CEO is really big about actually going into the store and like serving coffee to people, right? And if you do stuff like that, you really don't understand what the experience is like on the ground level. But that's a rare case. Most companies don't. They're totally detached from the people that are dealing with the customers directly on a daily basis, that see the problems, that live them day in and day out. A lot of times you get stuck in spreadsheets or presentations looking at some high level numbers as one of the executives in the company, but you don't understand how things actually work on the ground level.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's a big problem that you guys are solving there. Yeah, so it's interesting to see the evolution. You guys started as a free nonprofit, realized that there is a monetization method to it, and then I think you guys are getting into this even bigger problem that you're about to solve here, which I think plagues pretty much every company these days.
Yeah, we think so. And it was, I think that it's not just about this like two phases. Firstly, that there was the anti-bullying platform, then there was whistleblowing, because for last 2 years we are really focusing on whistleblowing, but then we find out that whistleblowing is just a small part of what we want to build, because as I said before, like whistleblowing softwares are mainly solving the problem of fear. But as I said, like fear is only 27% of the reasons why employees are not talking about problems. So we need to solve the rest of them.
Yeah, I like to see the evolution there, and it really shows that you guys have really listened to your customers the whole way. And I think that's really what's just defined your guys' success, is that these new ideas keeps coming from like customer feedback, which allows you to kind of make those iterations to your product, and I think build towards something that's bigger than what you originally intended for sure. So
yeah,
great. Well, where can people learn more about Faceup and pick it up today?
I think that they can learn more on our website, faceup.com, and yeah, if they want, of course, they can book a demo with us, and we can show them everything.
Great. Well, you could also grab it in the NachoNacho marketplace. I highly recommend everybody to check out Faceup today. Faceup, sorry. I think you guys are building something great. I think it solves a lot of problems within companies that they may or may not be aware of. I think communication is the key to it's the core of business, right? And I think what you guys are doing is good from a societal impact level. But I think companies out there listening to this, if they want to make more money as well and have a better product that attracts more customers, it's good to have that employee feedback and to create an atmosphere where people feel like they could speak up.
Yeah, right. You can you can be our sales manager if you want. You understand it absolutely correctly.
Yeah, I love the product. Well, Jan, it's great having you on today. Really appreciate discussing your guys' background and story. Love what you guys are working on, and looking forward to continuing our partnership.
Yeah, thank you very much. Have a nice day.